Hello fellow sim racers and welcome to the FIA European Truck Racing Championship. I was supposed to be publishing an updated rig rundown video today, but I decided I couldn't resist giving this new title a blast. So stick around to see some trucks. So here we are in a Mack truck at Mosport. That's probably about as much as I can tell you about the truck that we're in, but getting ready to take the start. I'm running against 11 AI, which seems to be the maximum number you can run. Maybe that's just in the quick race and championship mode that I've driven so far. There may be availability for more. I'm running against the expert AI at the moment, which is the highest level. So just try and find a bit of space on the run down into turn 2 where it gets a little bit frantic. In the test race I just did, and it's a little bit frantic mainly because I understeered into the number 2 truck there. So I'm going to talk about the physics and force feedback and stuff in a minute once we got into a relative position of safety, as we get lent on the inside and in turn lean on the blue truck on the outside, which I think gives you a pretty good flavour of the sort of racing that I've experienced so far. Truck already topped out 160 kilometers an hour as we run down the hill towards Moss Hairpin. So the AI truck comes across the road. Try and remember to cool the brakes with the water jets as we go into Moss Hairpin. Doesn't necessarily come all that natural to me yet. Not the best run out onto the back straight you could ever have, but there we go. Some of the craziness aside, already hitting the limiter long before the end of the straight. That's all these trucks have got, unfortunately. But okay, let's talk about the physics and the force feedback and all of those kind of things that sim racers care about. From a physics perspective, I was actually pleasantly surprised by this title. For a game that's really supposed to be fun, rather than a hardcore simulation, the physics are quite refreshing, actually. It's got a very progressive feel. You know, as you reach the grip limit, there you go, as the back end steps out. As you reach the grip limit, you can feel what's happening. Everything happens slow enough that you can deal with it. There's no random, bizarre behaviour, as I forget to call the brakes there, and race engineer telling me off. Everything happens in a predictable and believable way. Sure, you know, it's not R factor, and you shouldn't expect it to be. But at the same time, I vastly prefer the physics in this to something like, say, Forza Horizon, as you know, another recent title that is in the same sort of vein, I guess, in terms of, you know, a game that's primarily designed for fun rather than to please hardcore sim racers. Let's see, just trying to dodge the AI. Pretty standard. Ooh, changed down one gear too many there, which is a very, very bad move. You don't want to lock the rear axle on these things. Now, as for force feedback, that is a little bit of a disappointment in the sense that there's not a lot of force feedback. You can feel a lot of self-centering forces. You can feel a little bit of the grip limit. You can feel big bumps and heavy hits and things like that, but otherwise it's quite limited. Now, what is there, it feels pretty good actually from what I've seen so far, and admittedly I haven't spent massive amounts of time tweaking it. So, you know, what I would say about the force feedback in this is it feels like a game from a few years ago. As I change down one gear too many, lock the rear axle, and completely get it wrong. I mean, that's another problem here, is you don't have too many audio cues for the RPM of the engine, so it's very easy to end up in the wrong gear, certainly for me while I'm a little inexperienced with the game. Anyway, back to force feedback. What is there feels decent. It's just a touch muted, touch limited. It's certainly not bad. Again, if you compare it to something like Forza Horizon, which has probably more advanced force feedback, there's a lot in the Forza Horizon force feedback that feels really terrible. There's nothing in this that feels bad, but at the same time there's nothing in it that feels particularly impressive. And actually I think that's a good way to sum up a lot of what's going on in this title, as the AI takes a pretty novel line running down the hill there. Yeah, so I think my unconventional lines through Moss aside, yeah, I think that's how I'd sum this game up, actually. It does everything reasonably. There's nothing bad. Nothing sticks out as awful, which is often the case with this type of game. Look at the graphics as a great example. It looks fine. It looks like a game from a few years ago. There's nothing that's going to blow your socks off. And the same with the sound. But nothing looks out of place. Nothing sounds bad. Nothing feels bad in the force feedback. And the physics all feel reasonable. And that might sound like I'm damning it with faint praise, but that's because I'm coming at it from a perspective of someone who spent the morning driving R-Factor. And I can assure you I was in the right gear in R-Factor. As we come into the last lap, where we got up to 4th position, and that should tell you, lead nicely onto my main gripe of the game, actually, is that I don't think the AI provides a huge challenge. As I said, this is on Expert, which is the top AI level, so just give the 35 truck a bit of a punt there. No harm done. Yeah, the AI isn't super quick. If I can, you know, having spent an hour playing this game, if I can get up to 4th place from the back of the grid in 3 and a bit laps with the kind of driving I'm exhibiting, then I think it could probably do with being a bit quicker. Hopefully that's something they can bring in an update in the future. If they can bring another difficulty mode, that would be amazing, because I'm having a great time. I'm having a really good time driving these trucks. I'm currently driving it with manual gearing, although for some reason I can't get my THAA to work, so I'm having to use the sequential paddles on the back of my wheel. Hopefully I guess that's just a config thing on my end. I was able to map the buttons, but it didn't work, so it's probably something I'm doing wrong. Again, minor gripe. And in terms of things that I could complain about when a title comes out on release day, it's really little stuff, and I'm really impressed so far. That's another little thing, is sometimes the AI do seem to take some pretty inventive lines. Again, maybe that's something that can be improved with a patch going forward. Or as we take a stupid line myself going into the final corner of the final lap to cross the line and finish, 3rd. I thought it was in 4th. I sort of lost the plot there a bit. Anyway, so to sum up, if you're after a game that's fun, if you're after some fun racing, getting the elbows out, banging mirrors with other trucks, I think this is good fun. If you want a pure sim experience, then I guess everyone knew coming into this that that's not what this game was going to deliver. But ultimately, I'm pretty happy with it, and I would thoroughly recommend anyone that goes in with the right mindset to give it a try at least. Don't forget, with Steam, you can always play it for a couple of hours, and as long as you stay under that 2-hour limit, you can return it as well. So give it a try. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, it would be great if you could hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you can see more content like this in the future. So all that's left to say is goodbye, thank you for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day.